Hi there. The main purpose of this video is to show you how to download offline areas for ArcGIS field maps. So before you'll be able to follow along with this, you will have needed to already have downloaded the ArcGIS Field Maps application from either Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And you'll need the ArcGIS Online username and password, which would have been emailed to you. So we'll just go through opening field maps, signing in. Most of the steps we'll be going through are largely just a one-off, but there'll be some instances where we make changes to the maps and you'll need to download delete existing offline areas and download new offline areas. So we'll make a start. So say we're starting by just opening the app and signing in. So from the home screen, it depends where you've left the application within your device as to where you're going to find it. That's the icon there that we're looking for. Depending on how you've got your device set up, it may not be labelled. Alternatively, if I just do that and looking at apps, all the apps I've got installed listed alphabetically. Although when we were searching for it to install, we searched for ArcGIS Online field maps. Once it's installed, it's just field maps, so it's in the alphabetically, it's just an F there. Just circle that for you as well. Okay, so we'll fire that up. And if you haven't signed in before, this is the first page you'll see. So the first question that comes up is it the ArcGIS Online that we're signing in with or ArcGIS Enterprise? And in our case, we're looking at the ArcGIS Online sign-in. So after you sign in the first time, it should remember your username and password. And when you first log into your ArcGIS Online, it's always a good idea to set a security question in your profile, and that way if you forget your password, you'll be able to get it. There'll be self-service available for getting a new password emailed to you. So I've got a few accounts. I'll just use one that my phone remembers already, and that's me signed in. So this will look different depending on whether or not you're involved in the pilot, but you should have at least 3 maps available here. If you work on across more than one contract area, then you may be in different groups. So in this section down here, you may actually see folders, and you need to go into the folder first, and then you'll see these maps that are available here. But the one we're looking for, the latest one, I tried to make that obvious by changing the thumbnail to show the text current version, and the name of the map there is Deer Contract Location Tracking version 2. So the way to download the offline areas is just using the 3 dots beside it, just here. So I'll clear that and we'll click on that just now. And I've added a few areas already, but we'll add another one. So you need to get the map to the right size and position that you need to download. It's going to default to just sort of drawing to the current location that you're at, most likely. So I'll just show you some of the gestures that should be familiar to 90% of users, because most mapping applications use the same controls. But let's have a look at that just now. Okay, so if you just touch the screen with either your finger or thumb, just a single digit, just highlight the one I'm talking about, that sort of motion there, just with one finger or your thumb. That's to pan the screen about. And the ones we're mainly going to be using for downloading offline areas. Sorry, I'm just trying to move this about. These two here. So to zoom out, we're going to be using a pinching motion with two fingers or both your thumbs, and just then dragging them in the opposite direction or spreading them to zoom in. Another one we might use later on is with either both your thumbs or two fingers on the screen to rotate the map, but we'll come on to that later on. So back at field maps, we can either zoom out using that pinching in motion, zoom back in again, so we've got the most appropriate area that covers where we're going to be working. If you're having trouble or downloading's failed, I recommend downloading smaller areas. If you cover a large region, then you can download quite large areas. So it'd be worth having a go if you've got decent internet and you cover a whole contract area, or you're the lead contractor, to aim for quite a significant area. It will be about half a gig, that sort of area. And you need to let it just sit there for a minute to make sure it's getting all the information from the cloud before you hit that download area button. But what I'll do now is just quite a small area, just another copy of an area I've downloaded already. So I'll go with just that one there. Get the whole block in. And I'll pause the video while that downloads. Should take about 2 minutes. Okay, so that's it. Just finished downloading. Wasn't as fast as it appeared in the video because I did pause it, so it took a good 2 or 3 minutes. And depending on your Wi-Fi, that could take a lot longer. And also depending on the size of the area you downloaded. So if you look at a couple of the sizes of maps I've downloaded previously, this one here I've called Area 4. Well, the first thing you do after you download an area is to give it a sensible name. So in these options here, you can see we can rename the area. That's what I was trying to highlight there, not remove the area. So we'll go with that option for this area here, which covered the whole of Aberdeenshire. Okay, so that's just going to make things a bit more organized and easier to find, because if you've downloaded multiple areas, you'll need to switch between them and synchronize them after you've stopped using each map. So synchronize is that option we can see there in front of us. So let's just examine some of these maps I've downloaded previously. As I was saying, this one here is 543 megabits. So synchronizing uses a lot less data. It's just the initial download. So once I try and open that, it's going to tell me to turn on location sharing, which is required in order to use the map. But if I zoom out, then you'll see the extent that I've been able to download using a good, strong Wi-Fi signal. So it's worth giving it a go if you do cover a whole contract area. So we've got a few different ones here on, so you'd want to give them all sensible names. But if we update the map, you will need to remove these offline areas and download a new one. So you can see the last one I had open there was the Aberdeen map, which has now become my current map. You should never be using this one here while you're out in the field, this online map, because you'll run into problems if you've got no mobile signal, which is going to happen in most areas that people will be working in. So where it says current up the top here, that should be one of these other thumbnail images from the offline areas that you've downloaded where it says on device. And that's pretty much it. I'll jump into the map and we'll have a quick look before we move on to the next section. But before we do that as well, I'll just go through what would happen if we ask you to update the map that you've been working on, or move to a different map rather. So you can see here there's maps that we created as part of the previous pilot, and this one here you can see it says offline areas available as well. So it says there's one local edit which hasn't been synchronized. So before we delete it, we want to make sure all the information that we've captured has been saved. So in that case, I would click on the 3 dots beside it and just hit sync first of all. So we're saying even if that's a very large map, the syncing process should not use very much data, and it should take less than a minute in most cases. It might take a bit longer if you've captured a whole bunch of photos, and obviously you use more of your allowance if you're doing it over mobile as well, if you capture lots of photos. So that's it synchronized. I've got all the data in the cloud, and I can now remove this offline area. Okay, and eventually what we'll do, once we're satisfied that everyone's synchronized their data, we'll try and tidy things up by removing both of these maps that you can see down in this section at the moment. And at that point you should only really see this current one, or the current version that I've got here, or the one that I've labeled current with the thumbnail. It's been set up with a base map that makes it easier to download. But potentially what we'll do is, once everyone's used to using the app, we'll make additional maps available that do show the aerial photography as well. So that's about it as far as adding offline areas goes. So we'll I'll just a quick overview of what the next video will cover. And that's going to be more about these captures sort of things. So there's different data and grid references that we can capture there. So we'll go through that, and we'll look at some additional options as well, and things to look out for in terms of what might go wrong. I talked before about rotating the screen as well, some additional controls. We'll look at layers, turning things off and on, and have a wee look at legends as well. There's a few different options in there, but it's all going to be covered in the next video. So see you soon.